Good evening. Miriam, are the mics on? All right. I'd like to welcome you to our first meeting.
Oh, wow.
You asked if they were on.
I'd like to welcome you to the first meeting of the San Bruno City Council, January 12th, 2010. Our first order of business is thanking the San Bruno Garden Club for the floral arrangement they always provide. Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Here.
Councilmember Salazar.
Here.
I'd like to call on our city clerk to lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, announcements. We don't have any this evening. Item number 4, presentations. It gives me great pleasure in welcoming our new council member, Michael Salazar, and I know his family's here this evening. And I would like to ask Michael to step to the podium, please, and have the city clerk administer the oath of office.
I'm going to administer the oath of office to you, so if you would repeat after me, please. In the presence of all here assembled, I,
Michael Salazar,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
I further promise
I further promise
that I will not advocate
that I will not advocate
or try to advance,
or try to advance,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
the cause of any special group or organization.
the cause of any special group or organization.
You can lower your hand. Now, therefore, I, Carol Bonner, by the authority vested to me as the city clerk of the city of San Bruno, do hereby proclaim that Michael Salazar has officially been sworn in as the member of the San Bruno City Council. Congratulations. And then I'm also presenting to him his certificate of appointment. There you go.
I just want to make a few brief comments. First of all, I just want to say that this is an enormous honor for me, and that I'm just thrilled to be here. I want to thank the mayor and the city council for this opportunity. I understand it was probably a very difficult decision to make, but I don't take the trust that you put in me lightly, and I will make a very firm commitment to do the very best job I can in this position. I also want to thank the city staff, especially the city manager and city attorney. They've spent a great deal of time getting me up to speed in the past few weeks, and I really appreciate all their time, and all the directors that spent time with me in the past few weeks. Finally, I want to acknowledge my family that's here tonight, my sister, my mom, my brother-in-law, Brad, and especially my wife and my two boys, Sandra, Michael, and Nicholas. I want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity, for letting me do this. I think you understand how important this is to me, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. Item B, receive a presentation by Margot Grant, San Mateo County Census Coordinator, regarding the census complete count efforts and presentation. And we're going to present a proclamation supporting community participation. Margot.
Thank you very much for having the opportunity to be here tonight. It's a pleasure to be here in the city of San Bruno. Thank you, Mayor and honorable city council members, residents of San Bruno, and public. My name is Margot Grant, and I am serving as the census coordinator for the county of San Mateo. It's my goal here tonight to refresh many of your memories of the census and let you know a little bit more of what you can expect about the 2010 census. So the census, this has been an American tradition since 1790. That was when the very first census was enacted, and this was an initiative by George Washington himself, and it was undertaken by Thomas Jefferson. As you can imagine, since 1790, how the census is undergone has changed significantly since 1790. So back in 1790, census takers dressed as this man would have gone in a door-to-door effort to all our farms, residents, and meeting with all the constituents surrounding living in the United States. This is an example of that very first census that was taken, and as you can see in the bottom right-hand side, Thomas Jefferson, in fact, signed that census. Back in 1790, the population in the United States was about 3.5 million people. Consequently, that's about the size of the entire Bay Area, so it has grown quite significantly. And this go around in 2010, you will, instead of census takers doing a door-to-door effort, all 307 million people throughout the United States and 700,000 people throughout San Mateo County will receive a mailer that looks very similar to this at their residence. This is asked that people take 10 minutes to fill out the form and then slip this back into the mail. So why exactly is the census so important? Well, there are two reasons I want to share with everyone today. First and foremost is the money that is allocated back towards our communities, states, and local governments. Around $400 billion annually is allocated back towards our local communities simply based off this census data. The second reason is because of our congressional representation. The U.S. House of Representatives is the numbers that serve from our states is determined because of census data. So this data is used for very significant purposes for the monies that are allocated back towards our communities and also for our political voice. So what exactly would be the consequences of an undercount? Well, it has been estimated that just over $2,000 is received for every single resident that fills out one of these questionnaires. So we can potentially lose about $2,000 for people who do not take the 10 minutes to fill this out. If we want to say that about 100 people do not take the time to fill out the form, that's just over $200,000. Now, because the census is only taken every 10 years, you can extrapolate this number and times that by 10 to have the consequences of being just over $2 million if only 100 people do not fill out the form. In fact, PricewaterhouseCoopers recently came out with a report stating that the state of California lost around $1.5 billion as a result of an undercount back in 2000. So the consequences are quite severe for an undercount. So what exactly is happening with the census now? Well, I've had the pleasure to be working with Laura Russell within your planning department in trying to identify the exact community events and community measures where we can do outreach within San Bruno to reach as many constituents as possible. Another thing I wanted to mention with everyone is, like all local governments and even from the private sector are experiencing at the moment, our county is experiencing major cutbacks at the moment. So we are working on about a third of the budget as we had back in 2000, and we have less staff dedicated to our census efforts. So this will be a very, we will need as many hands as possible to reach out to those constituents and to make sure that people are informed about upcoming census events. So a little bit more about the actual timeline of the census. These census questionnaires are scheduled to arrive in all the residents' mailboxes around March 15th. And then they're asked that you fill them out and slip them back into the mail by April 1st. That is considered the actual census day. Towards the end of April, all the way through July, will be the traditional census takers or the door-to-door follow-up for the non-responsive households. And then all this data must be reported to President Obama by December 31st of this year. All of it will be made public by early 2011. So in our census messaging, we're asking that everyone within this city council meeting act as ambassadors for the census. Ask your neighbors if they had participated, if they have filled out their form once they are mailed out and received by the households. And in your message, there are 3 key points that we would like to emphasize about the census. One is simply that the census is incredibly easy. The form is actually shortened this year to only contain 10 questions, and it is designed to take less than 10 minutes to fill out. 2 is that the census is safe. all of the answers on the form are completely confidential and protected by law. 3 is that the census is important. Every person that filled this out has a major impact on our local communities, and it's part of their share, their voice into their civic engagement for our cities and communities. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that there might be at this time.
Thank you, Margot. Any questions? All right, we do have a proclamation to present, and it will be received by Panina F. Levermore. She's a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau, and I'll just read this quickly. Whereas an accurate census count is vital to our community and residents' well-being by helping to plan for future transportation, daycare centers, schools, recreation facilities, and community services, and achieving an accurate and complete count of the nation's growing and changing population. Whereas more than $400 billion per year in federal and state funding is allocated to states and communities based in part on census data. Whereas census data help determine how many seats each state will have in the U.S. House of Representatives and often is used for the redistricting of state legislatures. And whereas the 2010 census creates jobs that stimulate economic growth and increase employment, and whereas the information collected by the census is confidential and protected by law, now therefore the City Council of the City of San Bruno proclaims that the City of San Bruno is committed to partnering with the U.S. Census Bureau to help ensure a full and accurate count in 2010. As a 2010 census partner, we will support the goals and ideals of the 2010 census and disseminate 2010 census information to encourage those in our community to participate. Encourage people in our community to place an emphasis on the 2010 census and participate in events and initiatives that will raise overall awareness and ensure a full and accurate census. We will also support census takers as they help our community complete an accurate count. And finally, we will create or seek opportunities to collaborate with other like-minded groups in our community by participating in the San Mateo County Complete Count Committees and utilizing trusted voices to advocate on behalf of the 2010 census. And I'll present this now.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity and for the proclamation. On behalf of the U.S. Census Bureau, I would like to express our appreciation for the role that you're playing to ensure a complete count. As Margot pointed out, each person represents over $2,000 in funds for the community, and that means that it's in everybody's interest to achieve a complete count, but for various reasons, not everybody will respond, and we expect about a 64% response rate. Margot said that after the forms are filled out, we will be going around door to door to make sure that the people who did not fill out the questionnaires fill them out and send them in. And that's a very important role that you can play, is help us reach those hard-to-count people who aren't inclined to send in their questionnaires. San Bruno plays a huge role in that effort, and we appreciate your part in helping to achieve a complete count. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We do have one more presentation, and that is by our dear friend Seppi Richardson, who is a council member in the City of Brisbane, is also the League of California Cities board member regarding league activities and proposed proposition to protect local revenues. Seppi.
Yes. Good evening, and thank you very much for inviting me to be making a short presentation. But before I go on, first I'd like to congratulate Wayne for his recent victory of becoming San Bruno mayor. I'm really proud of him. I started in 1995, as I can tell you, sometimes not being a parent, but I look at everybody my age. So when we got together, I thought, well, we started when we were this size, and now this size we are. So it's great to see you, and congratulations to newly elected and re-elected. And for those of you who do not know, one of the biggest blessings I have in my life to have the friendship of Irene. I cannot begin to tell you that incredible person this lady is, and I wish I could, if I could have cloned her, I would have made multiple copies of her. Truly, she and her family have been a backbone in my life, and through whether my joys and difficulties, she's been there for me. And in preparation for tonight's meeting, I had not slept for a couple of days, by the way. Last night, my eyes just couldn't sleep, and I didn't have any meetings, so I decided to go to bed early because I had no choice. I was just keep falling asleep. And I went to bed, and of all nights, any kind of a call you can tell I got. And one of those calls was from your city manager. But I was more impressed instead of being upset because she was absolutely dynamic for a person, city manager, to call the speaker ahead of time to make sure everything is okay and are you prepared. I'm very proud of you, and I think city is lucky to have such a great city manager and the team. I'm proud of all of you. And Randy, great to see you and all of that. So with that, I'd
You're
like
already
to start.
elected.
I
You're already
think-
elected.
So I think my presentation
I
is
voted for
done.
you.
Did you do the presentation yet?
Yeah, I knew he's saying, cut it off, cut it off. Okay, don't give the microphone to a politician. But as you know, I'm Seppi Richardson. I'm an elected official from City of Brisbane, and I'm on the California League of Cities, and thank you very much for all your vote and support. And over the past few years, cities across the state have joined each other and have worked together and have made significant achievements in the state legislative arena and the ballot box because of the partnership with the League and its members. And as you might see over here, this shows how the League and divisions work with the cities to support local control, provide professional learning opportunities, and to preserve local revenues. And the next chart, I'm going to be talking about the Peninsula Division. California League of Cities is a statewide organization, but it's very centered around working together at the local level. And every area has divisions. Our division is called Peninsula Division and is made up of 36 cities. And I'm your representative on the League of Cities Board. And it goes from San Francisco all the way to Santa Clara. And it strives to provide its member with information to assist in providing high quality service to cities and their citizens. Regional divisions have been an integral and important part of the League since 1933. The League's effectiveness depends upon the participations and activities of the city officials in the division level. Regional divisions serve a multitude of functions and are a direct vehicle through which city officials require information, become active in their communities and with the League. The division serves your city in many ways, with coordinating activities, analyzing proposed legislators. I think I'm on the third PowerPoint. And through various policy committees that I know Connie and I serve on the revenue taxation, and we're very active on making sure that we can preserve our whatever we can get for our cities and communities. They issue monthly newsletters, and there's this website that is indicated over here, and if you want to get more information, please do so. On my next PowerPoint, you would notice that recent successes through the ballot process have brought cities into a position of halting state takeaways. Prior to the League's involvement, this was just not possible. The recent securitization arrangement to replace funds taken by the state was created by the League of the Cities and its member cities. In my next presentation, we would be talking about the Prop 1A, which was the first step in creating momentum to protect local revenues from state takeaways to balance the state budget. And as you notice, that Proposition 1A passed by 83.7%. And that's just about unheard of nowadays when you're talking about ballot measures and initiatives. And we had also no campaign on 9 that which was successfully passed. And I'm really proud of everybody's involvement, and that next PowerPoint reflected the success by 52.4%. In 2008, Prop 98 and 99 brought a decisive victory for eminent domain reform. For those of you who do not know, it was purely for making sure that we do have local control over our land use and what we need to do in our communities. And regional public affairs managers played a crucial role in the campaign from the very beginning of this initiative, organizing volunteer signature gathering, building coalitions, fundraising, organizing media events, and educating a wide range of group activities. Prop 98 failed in a landslide, and Prop 99 passed overwhelmingly with a healthy majority in every county in the state but one. And I can tell you what that is, and that was Orange County, which still continues to object to any local land use. I cannot figure that out, but I'm telling you, I have made commitment to make sure that anything they want to do to oppose our local control, not to let that happen. So, and the next slide you would see from various campaign and various literature that last summer we were engaging in a budget campaign centered around the idea of the legislators need to cut up the local government credit card. Over 170 resolutions and 145 letters from various cities against borrowing was made. More than 9 media events covering every market in California. Countless newspaper articles and letters to the editors. Unfortunately, this has not stopped the state from taking money from our local revenues. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious thing. Everything we do is about the money and providing service to each and every one of the members of this city to make sure that we have public safety, adequate public safety and protection for our people. Last time, the state borrowed the money. We said, okay, it's a temporarily, we put some kind of a measure that they can temporarily borrow the money. That has become a very routine thing for the state to do. It has come time for us to really change the way we fund cities, we fund our operations, but until such time, we cannot afford to lose any more money, because what's happening when you're talking about 60, 70, 80% of your budget is on public safety. Where are you going to make sure you provide safety to people? It's very difficult, and one of my colleagues had said that compared the state to a pirate, and said something is their attitude is anything not nailed to the floor is theirs, and anything that they can pry loose and is not nailed down, it's theirs. So that's how the state is doing business as usual. The state is continuing to raid local revenues to balance their budget. Local revenues needed to fund our local services, recreation programs, public safety, transportation funding for transit and roads, redevelopment funds needed to create affordable housing and promote jobs. All are being taken, and some won't even be repaid. We know that. The state is borrowing to solve today's problems. But there are things that you can do, you as citizen, and your citizen can get active and get involved to protect the local revenues. Past successes going to the voters has shown that the way to stop the state is by enlisting support from every one of our community members, every one of the voters. Plans are underway to protect the revenues that were not protected, because in good faith, we said we're going to work with the state to have some time to be able to recover from their mess. So we gave them time to rearrange their budget, but nothing has happened. They have established a habit of borrowing, and that is, we're saying enough is enough. Your city and your residents can make the difference. Join us by working with us, with the League, to qualify an initiative that would help us to make sure that we keep our local funds local. Public officials and public members can contact our regional public affairs managers, and at the very last PowerPoint, you would have the phone number and email information. What we need to gather, there's going to be a campaign for 100/100. We have forms, and we're going to have forums, we're going to have activity. I'd like to personally invite each and every one of you to help me and help the rest and help your city officials to make sure that your money stays where it's needed. I love you all, and thank you for allowing me to have a long speech.
Thank you, Seppi, very much. Thank
Is there
you.
any questions?
Any questions? This is a very, very important issue. The state of California seems to think that they can raid, in fact, our redevelopment funds and borrow from an entity that really doesn't lend. And it's very, very serious, because at the where the rubber meets the road here, I've said it a lot in cities, there's a lot of potholes in the way, and the rubber's getting very thin. So really have to get behind this initiative and get it taken care of. Seppi, thank you very much. Ken?
I have a question.
this is going to be a statewide initiative, right?
Statewide
So as
initiative.
long as you're a registered Californian resident, we're not just talking about San Bruno residents. We're talking about signatures from anyone that's registered voter.
Correct. I'm
Okay.
getting signatures from
Okay.
anywhere I go, so if you're ready, please join me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Seppi. And did you want to leave? Did you want to take the voice home? Okay. We're going to wait a minute while some of the audience leaves. All right, thank you. Item number 5, review of agenda. I have no changes. Number 6, approval of the minutes, regular council meeting of December 8th, 2009, and special council meetings of December 15th and 16th, 2009. Any changes, additions, corrections? Seeing none, they'll stand approved. Item number 7, consent calendar. All items are considered routine or implement an earlier council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested by a council member, citizen, or staff. On the
Through the
consent
chair.
calendar?
Through the chair?
Yes.
I'd like to pull 7D, please.
All right, pull 7D. All right, any action on the remainder of the consent calendar?
Move to accept?
Second.
Motion second. The question? All in favor?
Aye.
Irene pulled item D, which is accept a letter of resignation from Citizens Crime Prevention and Committee Member Michael Salazar. Declare a committee member vacancy and direct the city clerk to initiate the process for appointment of a new member. Councilwoman O'Connell.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Salazar's contribution to the committee, and also to use this as a time to let people know that there is a vacancy and that there will be an opportunity for them to apply. So that will be happening. And with that, I would move to approve.
Second.
Motion second for item D. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so carried. Item number 8, we do have a public hearing this evening. Notices have been published, posted, and mailed. Hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution approving request for citizens' option for public safety funds for fiscal year 2009-10 in the amount of $106,468. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. In 1996, Assembly Bill 3229 implemented the Citizens Option for Public Safety, or the COPS program. The COPS program appropriated state funds to supplement local law enforcement for enhancing frontline police services. Part of the requirements for COPS funding is a written request from the Chief of Police to identify the frontline needs of the law enforcement agency and to hold a public hearing. Since 2001, the department has identified the need for a traffic officer to supplement law enforcement services to the community, and we have dedicated COPS funding to that position for the past 9 years. Tonight, I'm here to make the same recommendation. Traffic enforcement and the related duties are crucial to providing law enforcement services to the community. The traffic officer position enhances the department's ability to respond to traffic collisions, enforce traffic laws, and investigate collisions. Last year, I reported that due to uncertainties in the state budget, we were not sure if we would get all of the COPS funding. I'm pleased to report tonight that we received about $94,000 of our allotted $100,000, and tonight's award includes a $6,468 residual balance that we were due from last year. I'm not aware of anything that would jeopardize COPS funding this year. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions of Chief Telford? All right, this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing. Would anyone wish to speak on this item?
Robert Rico, 7th Avenue. I would just encourage you to approve the request to try and get this grant money. We need the police department. We need the extra people, and if this will fund one more officer, all the citizens benefit. So,
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Once I close the public hearing, you will be precluded from speaking. Entertain a motion to close.
Move to close.
Second?
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Action by the council?
Through the chair. Just to be clear, this is not an additional. This is to maintain the existing traffic officer that we have currently. Correct, Chief?
That's correct.
This is important because obviously this is the one traffic officer that the city has, and it's thanks to this funding. So it's critical for our community. And with that, if there's no other questions or comments, I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra,
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar,
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
Mayor Ruane,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Item number 9, public comment on items not on the agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Public like to speak on any item? Okay, we'll go right on to conduct of business. Our first business item is 10A, receiver report and confirm appointment of city council members to city council subcommittees and as liaison to citizen advisory committees, commissions, and boards. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As outlined in the report, there are a few actions related to the city council's participation on a variety of regional and internal committees that serve the city's business and streamline the efficiency of your policy deliberations. And I just want to run through the several actions that we're asking the city council to consider tonight. First, in accordance with our previous procedure in compliance with the Brown Act, to evaluate issues that require continuing attention of the City Council over a reasonably extended period of time, we're asking the City Council to consider creating a fourth and one new standing subcommittee of the City Council. For some time, on a periodic basis, we have asked 2 members of the council to consult with staff regarding cable enterprise and business planning issues for the cable enterprise. And we would like to suggest that, given the implementation of the new commercial services program and a variety of other issues related to our cable enterprise and its continuing viability, we would like to suggest that the council establish a cable subcommittee as a standing committee of the City Council. Next, we are asking the City Council tonight to simply confirm the annual rotational program that was implemented 4 years ago, whereby the City Council provides annually a liaison for a city council liaison to each of the city's citizen advisory boards, commissions, and committees. The role of that city council liaison person is, as articulated previously by the council, to attend 1 meeting a year of the assigned board, commissioner, committee, and to make available yourself as an interested party in the event that the citizen advisory body has an issue or an inquiry that requires city council attention. The annual rotation, as has been previously established for the next 4 years, is included in your packet. Thirdly, we've included a list of the normal regional committee assignments that the City Council has participated in over the years, many of them very important to regular city business. There are a few spots where former Mayor Franzella participated as the city's alternate to one of those, actually there's 3, I think, regional committees where he served as the alternate. It is not entirely absolutely necessary, but staff believes that it would be prudent to assign an alternate in the event that the appointed person may not be able to attend or participate in that regional committee business for any reason. Lastly, staff is asking the City Council to consider whether there are any other committees or topic areas for which you believe that there is a need that we establish either a standing committee or some other forum for the participation of City Council members in working with staff on issues prior to them being brought forward to the City Council for policy action. With that, I'll be ready to answer any questions.
Okay, I'll go through these appointments quickly and ask for some action on a few of them. Any particular questions before I start?
Through the chair.
Mr. Aguirre.
As far as the list of the ad hoc committees, I believe Mayor Franzella and myself sat on a gaming club ad hoc committee. What is the status of that? Because I know we at least biannually review that practice.
Yeah, I should have mentioned earlier, under the Brown Act, the city has two means by which it can engage city council participation outside of your regular meeting format. And that one is the standing committee process that I've identified earlier, where city council member attention and participation is required to an assigned topic area and is expected to continue over a continuing period of time, that there is a need for ongoing participation with that particular issue. Standing committee meetings need to be noticed to the public, and they need to be available for public participation. The Brown Act also provides a process whereby, on an ad hoc, as-needed basis, a subcommittee consisting of not more than 2 members of the council and not a quorum may participate in that kind of discussion activity with staff for a limited duration and for a limited purpose. And so the ad hoc committees really are called on a strictly as-needed basis. Should the need arise, and it may in the future, we would ask the mayor to assign that topic for that limited duration to a couple of city council members. And so the report does not provide an exhaustive list of topics or ad hoc committees that have been used in the past, but simply provides examples. So we will certainly keep that topic in mind, and if it's council's pleasure, would work in the manner that I've just outlined to serve any needs that may arise.
Good. Along those lines, also, there's one other missing here that I know is important to a couple of council people, and that's Project Pride. And we'll appoint Mr. Salazar and Vice Mayor Medina to that, and have them convene whenever, if in fact the occasion arises. So the action I would like to have you take tonight is to confirm, and I would like to appoint Councilmember Salazar to take Mayor Franzella's place in the Utility Subcommittee with Councilwoman O'Connell, number 1, and number 2, confirm by motion that the Cable Subcommittee is in fact a standing committee.
I'll go ahead and make that a motion.
Second.
Motion second on the floor. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then we'll go through any questions on the appointed citizens advisory committees. They go on for 4 years, and Mr. Salazar has been kind of plugged in where Mayor Franzella was, so that should work out fine. And then the regional boards and committees, we are going to eliminate the airport light rail system, which we really haven't used in quite a while. I will be the alternate in the CCAG, City and County, along with Council Member O'Connell. On the Colma Creek Flood Control District, it was actually Michael Kaiser, but Irene O'Connell has done it for the last number of years, I guess. So Irene, I just want to let you know that it's firm.
Thanks.
Right. The North County Council of Cities really hasn't convened in a number of years. We have met as the San Mateo County Council of Cities. And so I just want to eliminate the North County Council of Cities. And finally, the Peninsula Traffic Congestion Relief Alliance. The alternate was Mayor Franzella, and I'd like to appoint Vice Mayor Medina to that.
League of California Cities.
And where's that now? League of California Cities, Councilwoman O'Connell has represented us on that, and I really don't know if we need an alternate. I think if she's so involved in it that if she needs one, she can just call me and we'll fill in. So, any questions? I don't believe we really need a motion on that, but if that's okay with everybody, we'll get on to the next agenda item.
Good.
All right, good.
Okay.
Item B is a receive report by the city treasurer and adopt a resolution approving the City of San Bruno investment policy.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, my presentation this evening will consist of 3 parts. First, I will discuss the holdings at year-end of the city's investments. Secondly, I will address the latest with respect to the Lehman Brothers issue and the San Mateo County investment pool. And lastly, I will discuss the investment policy itself and 2 minor changes in language. First, during the fourth quarter 2009, the city continued to actively reposition its investment portfolio in accordance with the revisions to the city investment policy statement adopted during the November 17, 2008 meeting. Briefly, these revisions call for the investment portfolio to be equally weighted in 3 investment options: the local agency investment fund, the San Mateo County investment pool, and individual securities limited to direct obligations of the federal government. As of December 31st, 2009, the city held the following: $8 million in direct obligations of the U.S. government. These securities were held in trust at Union Bank of California. The city's account at the local agency investment fund, administered by the state treasurer, had a balance of $8.5 million. And at year-end, the city had on deposit with the county pool approximately $18.5 million. The large increase in the city's county pool account is the result of property taxes being deposited toward month-end. Further diversification and additions to the city's portfolio are currently being evaluated, and it is anticipated these purchases will be made by month-end. Next, with respect to Lehman Brothers and the ongoing litigation. Congresswoman Spear and Eshoo have met with Treasury Secretary Geithner in October. In attendance was House Financial Services Committee Chairman Barney Frank and several House members from California, Colorado, and Florida. The intent of this meeting, as previously stated, was to discuss the authority that the Treasury Department may have or not have with respect to allocation and reimbursement of funds to local agencies. Secretary Geithner's position is that the already passed TARP legislation does not provide the Treasury Department the authority to reimburse local governments and agencies for any investment losses. As a result, specific legislation attached to the current jobs bill being debated has been introduced that will provide this authority. It is anticipated that this bill will be passed sometime during the first quarter of 2010. That's in process right now. I cannot say at this point exactly when that would happen, but the anticipation and the belief is sometime in the first quarter 2010. As further events warrant, I will certainly keep the council updated. Now lastly, with respect to the investment policy itself, based on questions from council members, language in 2 sections were reviewed. As a result, 2 changes are proposed that are meant to clarify the intent of these 2 particular sections within the policy. The first is under the heading of Delegation of Authority on the bottom of page 1. The proposed change reads as follows. I'd like to note this is meant to replace the 2nd paragraph under that particular section. I'll read it as follows. In the absence of the city treasurer, the finance director shall assume the duties of the city treasurer. No person may engage in an investment transaction except as provided for in the provisions of the investment policy. Please note that this procedure is in fact what has been done in the recent past. This language is meant to clarify the intent of this particular section. Secondly, the second change under the section heading Internal Controls, which is located on page 4 of the investment policy. Again, this language is meant to clarify the intent of this particular section and to formalize what is, in fact, already being done. The change reads as follows. This is to replace the only single paragraph under that section. There shall be an annual process of external review of deposits and investments by the city's independent auditor. The independent auditor shall review internal controls and compliance with policies and procedures and assess the various risks associated with the investment portfolio. Please note the city's annual audit includes a review of the investment policy and the investments to ensure compliance with the city's adopted policies and procedures. Again, both changes are meant to clarify the intent of each section and also to formalize what is already currently being done. Now, with respect to the adoption of these changes, the Treasurer's Office can immediately adopt these changes, should they be approved, or, in the alternative, return to the next meeting so the council can review them in its entirety. At this point, I'll take any questions.
Any questions of the city treasurer? No? Any action?
Through the chair, I'm comfortable and appreciate the treasurer taking the commentary from myself and others in regards to these items. I believe it's straightforward. I think it just can be added into the resolution. I don't believe it needs to come back. I'm comfortable with introducing the resolution with the changes that were just introduced by the city treasurer.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.
Sorry, Ken.
Thank you, John. C, adopt a resolution approving an agreement with Citygate Associates for a fire shared services merger implementation analysis in the amount not to exceed $20,000. Chief.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. As a brief background, in 2007, the City of San Bruno, along with Millbrae, Burlingame, and the Town of Hillsborough, jointly approved a study to be performed by Matrix Consulting Group to conduct a feasibility study of consolidation or increased shared services opportunities among the 4 agencies. Currently, the cities of San Bruno and Millbrae have a shared services agreement, and Burlingame and Hillsborough operate a consolidated fire department. The Matrix study was completed in 2 phases with a final report presented to the City Council last year. That report confirmed the feasibility of further shared services mergers or opportunities and outlined potential cost savings for 3 alternative service delivery options. Since the completion of that report, the city managers and fire chiefs from the respective agencies have met on several occasions to discuss further opportunities indicated in that study. On December 8, 2009, the city managers presented a recommendation to the Central County Fire Board and 2 city council members from San Bruno and Millbrae for additional technical consulting services to assist the agencies in moving forward in the process. The recommended consulting firm of Citygate Associates is a specialized consulting firm that has professional and technical specialists that have the expertise to assist us with moving toward the technical implementation analysis. The scope of work to be performed is attached to your staff report, but includes such things as governance, management, and operational alternatives for further sharing or consolidation of services between the agencies. The cost of the implementation project is estimated to be a not to exceed total of $80,000. The City of San Bruno's share would be 1/4 of that total, or $20,000. Of this amount, $58,700 covers the fixed cost of the analysis to be performed by Citygate, and an additional $21,300 or $5,300 per agency is identified to cover the cost of any additional analysis identified during the course of the study. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the fire chief?
I have one.
Councilwoman O'Connell.
Thank you. On the outline of the work to be done, on Task 6, Phase 3, it says if the agencies want a full written report on the findings and recommendations, and goes on. I don't quite understand it. You mean we have to request a written report? How else were they going to deliver the information?
I think that's included as part of the Phase 1 project. And as we move through the tasks, that would fall under Phase 3, the Task 6. So that would be at the council's discretion if they wanted a final documented report of the entire study.
I'm sorry, I understand what you said. I just don't understand how they can possibly do each phase without having a written document and share it among us.
I think the intent, you can add in, I think the intent was at the end of Phase 1, we will receive a report of the findings. At that point, it'll be council's discretion whether we can implement or do we need additional consulting services to move forward in the process.
Okay.
If I could add a little bit, we discussed at some length among our staff committee the need to be efficient and to minimize the cost to the maximum extent possible. We believe that there is a need for some technical advice, for some alternatives analysis, and for some well-formed recommendations that we can bring back to each of our governing bodies, because there are a number of serious questions and issues that need to be thought through and resolved in order for us to be able to proceed. We really need we need to know more clearly what direction we want to go. The thought was that we would focus the resources on delivery of that as a work product, as opposed to the preparation of a nice bound report. And that's, I think, really what was thought here was where Citygate was offering the option, and as the chief indicates, that would come at a later stage in the process that we envisioned for full implementation. The issue was whether we wanted to focus our resources on the work or whether we wanted to focus our resources on the development of a written report. There will be written documentation prepared at every stage along the way through this process. The consultant will be developing a series of project memoranda that will outline specific, document specific analysis and outline their thought process with respect to all of the various issues that we're addressing as we go along. And again, our thought at this point was that focusing the resources on that technical work was a prudent means of moving us forward along the path and towards where we think we need to go. The consultant is also fully prepared to work with each of our cities individually, and is prepared, if we request, to make presentations to the full city council and to deal with any issues that we may individually have.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies it.
Any other questions?
Through the chair.
Yes, Michael.
I would agree with Council Member O'Connell in terms of in the plan, in the proposal, that the language around the deliverables is a little vague. Mm-hmm. And so I would just recommend that when we go to create the actual a binding document, that we do specify that we are looking for a certain level of detail and what will be implemented. And also, as another separate question, I know that staff is pretty minimum at this point, and people are very busy. I'm a little concerned, or maybe not concerned, maybe that's too strong of a word, but I'd like to know what the feeling is on when we go to implement the changes. How capable are we of doing that, acknowledging that, of course, the consultant will be assisting, but I imagine a lot of that work will also fall on city staff. What are your feelings on our ability to deliver?
Well, I think the initial request from the consultant will actually what they call a data dump, and they'll be requesting information from each of the cities as far as the other departments, such as finance and HR. We've made them aware of that request that will come forward. At that point, I think we'll get direction as to the consultant and look at the alternatives to how we want to address those issues as they come forward. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Councilwoman.
I understand. I mean, we will have representation at any meetings or anything, plus at least possibly 2 council members. I'm concerned we've got 4 entities involved, and Citygate is going to be involved in what they say, communicating with the partners. And how are we going to know how another partner feels about something? I mean, when is this all going to come out? I mean, are there going to be some meetings where we hash some issues out, and and that gets known, so that the rest of the council knows that this particular partner has a real problem with this phase or this this particular issue.
We have, obviously, there's been a lot of time between the check-ins with the City Council. The Chief indicated we've been at this since 2007 in a pretty deliberate way. And so I can tell you that numbers of those types of issues are being continuously worked at the staff level among the partners, the 4 city managers and the 2 police chiefs. But you raise a very good question, and we've debated a little bit among ourselves about how practical it would be, for example, to get 20 city council members together in a room and try and have a joint meeting. We may do that at some point. It seems a little bit unwieldy. The process that we utilized on December 8th actually worked quite well, where we had 2 council members from each of the 4 cities. And we found that to be a pretty effective way of getting input and delivering information. We anticipate continuing with some periodic check-ins in that format. Should it become desirable to get everybody together in one room, we would certainly consider doing that. But I can assure you that in the meantime, there is actually a great deal of work that's going on at the staff level, and the consultants will add a tremendous amount of horsepower and technical expertise to that to try and work through some of these issues and be able to present you with realistic alternatives and analysis.
If I can continue, I'm not really as concerned that I hear what our appointed representatives hear. I'm more concerned that Citygate is representing 4 entities and that they may be privy to information from one partner that may not get passed on to another partner. And I know we have four jurisdictions that in many respects can be very different. And I think back to the past where we only had 2 jurisdictions dealing, and there were, some issues. That would be my concern, that things are transparent and that things do get. I don't want to be the last to know about a deal breaker.
Yeah, I think that's really a very important point, and I guess I can just give you my observation that one of the values of jointly hiring the consultant and making that a 4-way arrangement, I've certainly seen the commitment of that process to the individual issues of each agency, and there will be individual issues. That's part of why we are presenting you with a recommendation for a little bit more money than the actual contract costs, because if, for example, the town of Hillsborough wants to look at something specific, that they'll have the opportunity to do that, or San Bruno similarly. The consultant, on the other hand, is tasked with a joint analysis and a joint work product, and transparency, I think, is a first priority expectation. And again, that firm comes in without preconceived notions or without any allegiance to any of the individual agencies, but with a fresh set of eyes, essentially, to look at what are admittedly numbers of complex issues.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I am the chair. I'm used to saying that, sorry. Vice Mayor Medina and I attended that December 8th meeting, and I do feel very comfortable with the consultants and the way this is all going. You have to remember that these are not just 4 little cities starting out fresh. We do have 3 entities, which is Central County. We have the City of Millbrae and the City of San Bruno. And Central County has a chief. We, in essence, Millbrae and I, San Bruno, have a chief now. We share battalion chiefs. So there is already a mix going on. And the managers have done a great job over the last number of months and years seeing if there are any insurmountable hurdles. And gone this far, apparently not. There's some little things to jump over, but we think this will work, and it has to work in the bigger picture, because we have to do some consolidation here. It's crazy to have 20 little cities and 20 chiefs. We have to consolidate to save some money and make things more efficient for our citizens. So the main concern that we had was, number one, are the citizens of our cities going to receive the same service, the same response time, or better? And number two, are the troops in with this? And I believe they are. I've spoken to a lot of our own individual firemen here, and in the bigger picture, they're for it, as long as we can overcome some of the smaller hurdles that face us. So I look forward to this.
Through the chair. In going to that December 8th meeting, as the mayor said, they had the anticipation of, once the agreement was signed by all cities, that within 30 days they could have an initial assessment of whether there was going to be some huge hurdles that may be of a concern to any of the jurisdictions. In addition, they believed in about 6 months they could possibly come back with the report. So it wasn't going to be a lengthy process. This is what they do. As the mayor said, all the cities met. As far as the troops are concerned, I do believe they have questions. They may have some concerns. Change obviously brings up uncertainty and sometimes a little anxiety. But I think that they're open-minded, and I think, as I've spoken to them, they're willing to see what comes forward and see if it can't help ensure the services that we currently enjoy here in San Bruno and throughout the other communities.
Good.
If there are no other questions or comments, I'll go ahead and move to adopt the resolution approving the agreement.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item D, receive an oral report on the city clerk's attendance at the League of California Cities New Election Law Seminar. Carol.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I attended the new election law seminar, and I appreciate the council allowing me to do that. The focus of the seminar is on newly enacted legislation pertaining to elections, as well as sessions on other issues of interest to clerks. People are probably more familiar with the role I play interfacing with the public and providing public information. An equally important role of the city clerk, but perhaps less understood, is it is critical for a city clerk to learn current laws and gain technical knowledge, and that's just what I did at this seminar. By law, I am the custodian of the city's official city records, and I finalize, record, organize, and maintain all ordinances and resolutions. I'm also the chief election officer, and my office handles all the election and campaign activities for our city. The clerk is also responsible for posting the agenda and publishing other public notice that lets the public know what business is coming before the city council or other commissions. All of these responsibilities require an understanding of the technical and legal requirements that we operate under. I can best serve the city's interests by staying current with these rules and by connecting with other city clerks to find out how they handle issues that we have in common. I've attended this seminar. This was my 4th one, and this year's speakers were extremely informative, enthusiastic, and inspirational. And they took a new approach to engaging their audience. We were all involved in what they were talking about, and it just made us understand everything we were doing more. I can't stress enough the camaraderie and network that takes place at one of these seminars. I just keep expanding my friends, and I come home from one of these, and like this one I just attended, I've heard from 6 clerks from down south that I met just being at a table with them. So we all shared the complexities of our jobs, and it was wonderful, invaluable, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions of the city clerk? Carol, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 11, report of commissions, boards, and committees. No report this evening. Item 12, comments from council members. I would just like to wish everyone a Happy New Year.
Through the chair, I missed an opportunity earlier to do this, but I wanted to acknowledge that there were 2 members from the Crime Prevention Committee here. Our chairman, Robert Riegel, and member John DeCopoulos, I think, snuck out already, so I'm sorry I missed it. But I did want to thank them for their support on my new role, and I wanted to thank them both for the past 3 years. We had a great time working. I had a wonderful time working with you guys, and Robert, I believe I learned a lot from you, so thank you very much.
Through the chair. I had a couple calls in regard over the holiday and asking about the styrofoam and when that was coming up. Obviously, it's been a little bit of time, and my understanding, staff correct me, is that on the next meeting on January 26th, the item will come back for staff to bring us up to date in the work and the effort that's been done and outreach to the business. And that is an item that already had taken council action, will go into effect on April 1st. But of course, if anyone has questions or wants to understand better about the process, please feel free to email myself or staff, and they can bring you up to speed. And then secondly, I want to compliment Mr. Salazar. Congratulations again and welcome, as well as Michael and Nicholas. You did very good tonight, and I think you should be able to go home and have no homework, so enjoy.
Right.
He's the vice mayor, he can sign a note.
He can sign a note. Might not mean a whole lot to the principal, but he can sign a note. Exactly. Just so you know, regarding sustainability, I'm meeting with Councilwoman O'Connell in a day and a half to go over the progress. So item number 13, closed session. We do have a closed session this evening. There's 2 items on the closed session. Consult with legal counsel regarding potential litigation, California Government Code S 54956.9B1, and purpose of closed session for the purpose of city attorney's performance evaluation, Government Code section 54957. There will be nothing to report after this closed session, and if there's no other business, I would like to adjourn this meeting to the next regular city council meeting to be held right here at the Senior Center, January 26th, 2010 at 7 p.m.